And we are live and alive and grateful to be here. Let me make sure that we got sound. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. It's not coming up on YouTube yet. But anyway, good evening, good night, good morning, good afternoon, good day to you. Welcome to the House of Love, the House of Transformation. Ah, here we go, I think. To you. Yep, great. We are good. We are good. We are growing. Hmm. I'm happy to be here. Got a lot to talk about. We are talking about the black agenda, the gay agenda, all sorts of agenda. How is your Friday going? Beginning of the weekend, depending if you're listening live. If you're listening another time, you may be actually listening today. And whenever you're listening, it's today. So, with that in mind, I am Ade Anifowishe, your transformational guide. And I'm grateful to be here, excited about the conversation tonight, and looking forward to just what happens because it feels good. It's going to be good. I know it's good. I can tell it's good. What do I want to tell you? Many things. But I think the first thing I want to do is just invite you to take a deep breath with me. If you would, you don't have to. But if you take a deep breath, you're not doing it for me, you're doing it for you. And your body and your cells will be grateful. So let's take a deep breath in. And breathe out. Take another deep breath in. And breathe out. Now we're going to take another deep breath. This time is going to be longer, it's going to be slower. And when you get to the top, I'm going to invite you to hold it. Okay? Ready? Let's do it. Take a slow, deep breath in. Hold it. And gently breathe out. You are activating your true self, your capital S self. This is not necessarily self care made simple, but it is self care made simple. It's self care made simple, and we're going to touch on really important topics today. And there's also, to give you an idea of my event that I'm hosting, facilitating tomorrow, representing your stories. What's in a name? It takes place tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UK time. To find out more, this chair's moving. To find out more, go to thebusinessofbeing.com/events. The business of being.com/events. You get all the information you need there. So, representing your story. What's in a name? You know what? I wasn't planning to do this, but that always happens. Something I wasn't planning to read or say pops up. And I've shared it in the broadcasts that I've done this past few weeks. And it's the statement by Rev D, Reverend Dr. Deborah L. Johnson. And the statement is, because we're talking about stories, we're talking about narrative, we're talking about how we name our circumstances. And sometimes, all the time, wait a minute. Okay, just wanted to make sure that you guys can hear me on Facebook. All right. So let me just read it before I even talk about that. It is the story that we tell ourselves about what is going on that determines our experience of it. Chew on that for a minute. Sit with that for a minute. It is the story that we tell ourselves about what is going on that determines our experience of it. So, your experience that you're having right now is based on the story you're telling yourself. I'll read more. Our experience is not the facts of what has happened or is happening, but how we name it. Our experience is not the facts of what has happened or is happening, but how we name it. So, depending on what you're seeing, hearing, feeling right now, and how you are experiencing your experience, it's based on how you name it, whether this is good, whether this is bad, whether whatever the case may be. Our story is a narrative, it is a mold of sorts. No matter what is poured into it, the shape will always be the same. It might also be compared to a lens that colors what we see. That's a statement expressed through Reverend Dr. Deborah L. Johnson. So, what you're experiencing is really based on the story and how you name what you're looking at. The story that you carry about what is right, what is wrong, what is moral, what it isn't, what is evil, what is dangerous, what is safe. So when you're experiencing, when something is happening, you're really experiencing your own narrative of it. Some people can see fire and go, "Oh my God, stand back." Somebody else can see fire and go, "Oh my God, I love fire. I can do all the kind of creative things I can do with it." I don't know what they call those people who do different things with fire. They see fire, I'm sure they get excited. But if your house was recently burnt down, or maybe it's been a month, maybe it's been a year, but you didn't necessarily get therapy, or maybe you did. When you see fire, it brings back that memory, and you stand back, you get afraid, you get nervous. And you can convince yourself or others that the fear, the nervousness that you're feeling is based on what you're looking at. No, it's based on your narrative of what the fire represents to you. It's not a judgment, it is what it is. But when we understand that our experience of what is happening or what happened is really based on our narrative, we step into a place of empowerment. So I titled this, what did I title it? Black agenda, gay agenda, all sorts of agenda. Humans, man, we're so interesting. I mean, the fact that we can use an idea that we think is a bad or evil concept, idea, shouldn't be. We see it and we say, that's wrong. It shouldn't be that way. And we use that same idea to justify something else. I've been feeling this show all day, and maybe even yesterday. I actually thought yesterday was Friday, so it was interesting. But so I didn't think I was going to do any broadcast last night. Well, actually, I didn't. But I didn't know I was going to do a broadcast on a Thursday, but I was going to do one on a Friday. And I saw something today in a WhatsApp group that I'm part of. And the story was about a church in Boston 6 days ago. I don't know if it's true because anybody could make up a story. And they said basically the church caught fire. Some famous homosexuals, that's how the thing wrote, were getting married there. And it's a church that I'm trying to pull it up. No, it's coming up. And this church is a famous church for gay pride, and gay people go there regularly and they get married. Oh my God. Yeah. And so what I did, I'm trying to pull it up. Give me a moment. I had to say something. This is a group. Stay with me here for a minute. Just stay with me. Tina Marie. Wow, that's interesting. Though it is, though it isn't. But today I was cleaning out some files and there was a video of you and I that I was trying to watch but won't play. And I had this thought, I wonder what Tina Marie's doing right now. And here she is. All you gotta do is put the thought out. Wow, it's nice to, well, I don't see you, but it's nice to kind of see you because I know what you look like. So here's the message in the group. I'm actually going to read it, maybe the first part of the message, but I'm not going to read a lot of what I wrote with somebody else who was responding to me. So just to give you guys a foundation. All right, here we go. Computer is moving slow. Stop it. We don't have time for that. Okay, so the story reads, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to read this short story and then my response. And the story goes as fire gutted a church in Boston on the 3rd of June as two famous homosexuals were getting married. Suddenly, a powerful lightning struck the church, which immediately caught uncontrollable fire despite having lightning conductors. I really need my glasses, but I can't find it. You know how people have their glasses on their head and they're like, where's my glasses? That's what I was doing, if you didn't get it. Anyway, this church was famous for LGBTQ plus pride, and most gays traveled to wed there. Amazingly, no single firefighting truck was able to reach it to extinguish the fire because it before it completely vanished. Surely heavens have had enough of gay nonsense. And for those of you who know me, you kind of know. You know me. What I'm going to read, it's not going to surprise you. And when I saw it up, I said, you know what? I just felt like I needed to say something. I've just finished meditating. I've read something, and your deepest intent that actually spoke to oneness. So I wrote, if the word homosexuals was replaced, not homosexuals, but I put in quotes, was replaced with blacks, and LGBTQ plus replaced with liberation of African people, and gays replaced with social activists. And the last sentence reads, surely heavens, I'm quoting them, heavens have had enough of black people's nonsense. This would land differently for black people, and yet some of us continue to hate and extend the evil that was directed towards us meaning black people, African people. We must confront the internalized oppressor in ourselves. Hate is a disease. Hate is a disease of the soul. If we believe in God, love, then we have a responsibility to love in action. The only guy that engaged in a conversation with me said, can't really replace a skin color, but mindset can change. I said, homosexuality is not a mindset. Hate is a mindset. And if homosexuality is a mindset, then heterosexuality is a mindset. He said, okay. Do I want to keep reading this? Yeah. So he responded, I'm tying it all together. Just stay with me. Stay with me. From a religious point of view, yeah, this is important. If both are mindset, one is fruitful, the other leads to non-fruitfulness. No hate speech being promoted by me, by the way, just explaining your argument and the one presented, also taking information in the video. However, I do stick to my point that you can't change skin color. It's divisive to compare the two. Yes, they are both example of oppression, but fundamentally different. Well, I said, I appreciate you willing to engage in a conversation with me. When you say religious point of view, what do you mean? Christianity, the Bible? He said, yes. I'm like, okay. Because I want to make sure it's important when we have these conversations to know what we're both talking about. Because religious point of view, there are many religions. Today, I Googled it. There was like apparently 4,000 religions. I don't know if I can name 10. Maybe. It doesn't really matter to me. What matters is if the well, anyway, I'll say more, but let me save it. Let me save it. I said Christianity, the Bible, is a record of man's attempt to explain the infinite, which most call God, the infinite, that is. The power and presence of all creation, aka God, is far more bigger than the God of the Bible. That's right, I said it. Most religious points of view is a poor interpretation of love, unconditional love. I said unconditional love, and then I wrote something here. There was a typo that I couldn't remember what I said. So I said basically, I was saying someone or we don't have a full concept of unconditional love. In the presence of unconditional love, the ego dies. The debate dies. In the presence of unconditional love, there's acceptance, there's understanding, there's curiosity. I didn't write that there. Regarding fruitfulness, giving birth to a child, human beings is not the only way to be fruitful. The Bible is full of stories of murder, adultery, greed, supremacy, and more. There's also the stories of oneness, aka love, mainly taught by Jesus the Christ, because Christ is not his last name. But humans are too afraid to live from the heart, from love, that is. We create a comfort zone in the mind, the ego mind, because we're afraid to grow. See beyond our limited point of views. We know that growth means dying, it means death. It is uncomfortable, painful. So we find shelter in ideas, concept, divisiveness, and judgments of each other. I'm going to stop there, I think, for now. And the conversation, what I liked about the conversation is the gentleman that I was having a conversation with was having a conversation. And it was very important for me to make sure that if I was triggered by anything that he said, that I resolve that within myself and not communicate from that place. So there are people who talk about the gay agenda, the gay agenda, the gay agenda, the gay agenda, and the gay what's happening in Africa, the continent, not the country, because Africa is not a country, just in case you thought it was. And what the West, there's some things that's happening that makes you go, really? Sit your behind down and take care of your own country. And so as it relates to black and brown people, part of my frustration, if you will, is the hate that's directed towards us through the lens of white supremacy. We, of course, it's not all of us, but if you want to believe that all of us, that's on you, and then you need to be in a different class. We then also direct that hate to same gender loving folks, the trans community, because we don't understand it. The white people believe they're the superior one. They believe they're the chosen one. The Republican in America, they believe that what they're doing is in alignment with Christianity, it's in alignment with God, but they're not talking about Christianity as even, I don't even know if I want to say it in the Bible, but maybe. GOP represents the white man as God. I'm talking about some of the things that I've seen. Democrats, not that I favor any of them. Over here in UK, they've got their BS going on. Boris Johnson, and but I'm making a point. That's why I'm using this. So The idea of basing our hate on what God wants or what God doesn't want. First question is, which God are we talking about? And do you think God only appeared during the time of the Bible, when the Bible was written, when Jesus was born? Hate is a universal thing. And humans, when we haven't done the work to face our own shadow, our own mess, our own pain, to go within and ask deeper questions, we are going to project our uncomfortability onto another, someone that we think is different from us, that we don't understand. And then some of us will use the Bible, even though you're not a Christian, or we say God doesn't want that. There are racists, people leading countries who justify their hate and their oppression and their supremacy based on the Bible, who use the Bible to justify slavery. When we are confused about who we are, we're confused about what we're looking at. We can't, on one level, talk about wanting love or to be loved or to be accepted or to belong. And this is not just, I'm not saying this is just for black and brown people. I'm talking about black, brown people, and the white people who are on the other side of the spectrum. You're just the brightest of the bright. And like me, I'm on the other end of the spectrum. And the interesting thing is, if you put people together and you throw a topic out there, so whether the topic is abortion, you get people gathered together, and all in the name of Jesus Christ or God. Now put another topic and drop it in there. Black people. Then you might see some kind of divisiveness or people moving over. It's like, nope, nope. This is all people in the same group now saying, yeah, we're Christian and we're trying to save the kingdom of God. But then drop a certain topic in there and everything is different. Then drop a topic like sexuality and you see the crowd move again. Like, oh, no, I don't think I want to be in that. Hate comes from not understanding what unconditional love is. It comes from being in a transactional relationship with the divine. Being in a transactional relationship with God, like if I do this, then God will do this or that. Being in a transactional relationship with God or anybody, it's conditional love. And where there is conditional love, that's not really love. I will only love you if you do what I want. I will only love you if you do what makes me happy, if you do what pleases me. I will only love you if you think the way I want you to think. That's not love. That's conditional love. True love is not only just freedom and acceptance, it is compassion, it is kindness. So, the event I'm doing tomorrow, representing your stories, this is not an idea where you just say, okay, I tell a different story for the sake of telling a different story. This is a commitment to understanding truly what love means to you, and telling a loving, affirmative, life-giving story about your existence. We throw ideas around. If we talk about racism or slavery, white folks are quick to say all lives matter. Say 911, 9/11. Oh, never forget. The Jewish Holocaust, never forget. Oh, enslavement of African people. Oh, that happened way back then. Yet, people who went to war and died are celebrated. Never forget. We pick and choose what's going to make us feel comfortable. Black folks, brown folks, oh, they don't care about us. They're killing us. They hate us. LGBTQ. Drop that in there. It's an abomination. White people do it too, so don't get it twisted. They're trying to tear down the kingdom of God. Some white folks, conservative, going into stores in America, challenging people, saying gay pride. They're trying to corrupt our children. Let's protect our children. When we talk about global warming, oh, we got to think of the land and the kind of world we're leaving for our children. When we talk about financial security, we got to make sure our children have money to spend. When it comes to critical race theory, no, we don't want to make our children uncomfortable. We don't want to teach hate. African American history, oh my God, that's just divisive. Homosexuality, oh Jesus, no, definitely. Our kids don't need to hear that or see that. We are afraid of ourselves. We're afraid of our power. And because we're afraid of our power, ourselves, we don't take the time to tune in. We don't take the time to listen to deeper wisdom. So we stay safe, because to listen to deeper wisdom means you're going to break open. You're going to you got to be willing to be uncomfortable. Because we're afraid of our own power. We're afraid of our own power because we don't know our own power. I'm generalizing. Some of us do, some don't. And we're all part of the whole. And even those of us who say, well, I understand my power, there's sometimes where we don't show up fully. We're afraid of the divine power within us, the power to create. We're afraid of the power of sex. We're afraid of the power of sexuality. We're afraid of the power of our thoughts and our feelings. So some of us would just do spiritual bypass or religious bypass. That's the thing too. Give it to Jesus. Ooh, that's because you don't pray enough to Jesus. Why are you having those thoughts and feelings? Those who lean more to the spiritual aspects, oh, negative thoughts. Well, I know that I'm light. I'm not going to focus on negativity. And sometimes the things that we don't want to focus on is what we need to pay attention to, because it's trying to inform us. It's trying to give us something. We've been praying, we've been cleaning out, we've been meditating, we've been visioning, we've been doing the affirmation to manifest. You can't manifest something different, something of a higher vibration, something great that you just know it will change your life, if you hold in thoughts and feelings of lower vibration, of hate, of separation, of judgment. So when you are doing the work to manifest, to attract what you want, all the stuff that was once in the way, the thoughts, the emotions, have to rise to the top. And some people say, oh my God, I started meditating and my life just crumbled, because all the BS that you build your life on is crumbling because you're raising your vibration. You're literally knocking down the old. Because we're afraid of ourselves, we don't take a journey within. And if you're afraid of yourself, you by default going to be afraid of the divine, of God, the universe. You might say, I love God. Yeah, right. If you're afraid of yourself by default, you're going to be in that kind of relationship with God. And if you say, well, I don't believe in God so good. Well, if you're afraid of yourself, you're going to be afraid of other people. So there is no trust. There is no harmony. There is no cooperation. And we're waiting for the world to change, forgetting that we're the one that's supposed to change. We are the world, and when we change, the world will change. If you're willing to change and you want to change your story, join us tomorrow for representing your stories. What's in the name? So you can name your experiences differently. We're always by default giving meanings to the things that happen. Right now, there's a lot of people that Donald Trump is getting indicted. A lot of people are happy, and some people are like, "Oof, I don't know." Yeah, that's fine, but so what? Let's just say he goes to jail. So then what? Truth be told, that's not even the truth, but some people might want to believe it. He didn't start the thing that he talked about. This divisiveness, racism, blatant racism. He didn't start it. He has said some things. He's done things. It's obvious. It's there. It's online. But we fool ourselves to think he's the only one. Hitler's the only one. The ones who enslaved African American, who were enslaved Africans, are the only one. The father who was an alcoholic and the addict was the only one, the bad one, the evil one. That's what's causing us pain. We're all going to perish if we continue to invest in the idea that some people are evil and some people are good. That person is evil and I am good. If we keep investing in that, we are all going to perish because the people you're calling good or the people you're calling evil, they see themselves as good people and think you're evil. We got to heal the sense of separation. We are in some really interesting times, and the conversation that you carry, that you spread, that you hold true to creates your future. So if you're wanting a different future, a future where there is love, where there's compassion, where there's understanding, where there's kindness, where there's belonging, where there's inclusion, you have to be it. And that's the thing about belonging and inclusion for everyone. If you're asking for something in the world to be, something like belonging, belonging is not just that the multicultural, multinational companies can now allow Black and brown people to run companies or be in position of power as a CEO and everything else, as doctors or whatever the case may be. It also means we're asking for even the oppressor to be welcomed into this tribe, this community, this new earth, this new world that we're building. When we're talking about inclusion, we need to stop looking at it as creating space for Black and brown people only to go into a space that we were once not allowed into. It's part of it. But we're also saying, let's all come together. When we all come together, ooh, shift might hit the fan. All kind of crap might show up. So inclusion is messy work. Accepting, considering a world where we all belong is messy work. But if you don't change the narrative, if your narrative is just based on them and us, you continue to other people, you continue to create the same thing. Remember, you can't have in the world what you're not willing to become. You can't have in your reality what you're not willing to become. It won't happen. Now, let's just say it happens. Let's just say you want something, but you haven't become it, but somehow it happened because you shared that story with somebody and they say, oh my God, my cousin, my uncle, my aunt, my dad, my sister, my brother, my mom was saying that. If you're still the same, you are not going to recognize it. Because the narrative that you're telling yourself, it's like a lens. There's a lot that has changed in the world that we live in today. But some of us are still looking with old lens. And we will always find the issue with any kind of advancement. We'll find issue with a gentle movement towards where we're going. Somebody's going to complain it's not enough. Somebody's going to say, yeah, you're being tricked. It's like freedom. Everybody wants to be free, but yet we have an opinion about other people's freedom. Sometimes we want the way people express freedom or live in freedom to match what we think freedom is. That's not freedom. That's bondage. The people living free, sharing their truth, and people will pounce on them. You don't have to like what people are saying. You can break away from this transactional relationship that we have with one another, that we have with the divine, whether you call it God, whether you call it Jesus, Buddha, Allah, love, higher self. A transactional relationship leaves you feeling fearful. So for those who believe in heaven and hell and believe in the devil, and you're in a transactional relationship with God, so you keep constantly trying to do what you think is the right thing so that you can please God, so that you can go to heaven. So you're really not living your life. You're living life to please God. God don't need to be pleased. Oof, oh my God. I'm about to piss somebody off. You've been told that God, I mean, come on. I'm not even going to go down that path. We can talk more about it tomorrow if you want to join the conversation. If you have a God that you have to please in order to receive its goodness, his goodness, her goodness, well, good luck with that. What I will say as I release this conversation is true freedom is recognizing oneness. True freedom is healing the sense of separation. True freedom, liberation, is knowing who you are. Knowing who you are. When you know who you are, you live differently. You have a right to live. You have a right to be happy. You have the right to be free. You have the right to express your creative nature. You have the right to flourish. You have the right to thrive. You have the right to be at peace. You have the right to love and love freely and freely love. You have the right to tell your own story. You have the right to choose again, whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're brown, whether you're Christian, whether you're Muslim, whether you're heterosexual, or gay, whether you are trans. You have a right to be free, to be happy, to love who you want to love. And anybody else telling you something other than that, they're lying. They're in bondage. You have the right to thrive, to be happy. We got to set ourselves free by telling a new story. And we name our experience. We recognize the trauma, investigate it, deal with it, heal it, and name it differently. The same thing that traumatized you, when you do the inner work, actually becomes the thing that frees you. And it's the same thing you're looking at. But when you're doing the inner work, you're willing to look at it from a different perspective. You're moving. Like, I'm looking at the camera here, but if I move here, it's a different point of view. If I move over here, it's a different point of view. So you can spend your life talking about the trauma. But if you move, you just might see, wait, that trauma actually broke me, that I felt like I wanted to take my own life. But I realized there was something in me that wants to express, that I was determined. I was determined to live. You can't have in a world what you're not willing to become. So if you're spreading any kind of hate, you're adding more hate to the world. Doesn't matter whether you're brown or black or white or Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, any kind of hate, you're spreading it out into the world, and guess what? You catch it first. If it's love, you catch it first. If it's separation, you deal with it first. You can't separate those things like, oh, there's a little bit of love going to this family, and I'm not going to share love in this family. There's some kindness going to this child, but I'm going to be unkind to. No, it doesn't work that way. Join us tomorrow for Representing Your Stories. What's in the name? Go to thebusinessofbeing.com/events. Follow the link and register. Let's tell a different story. Let's live a different story. Let's live a story that affirms who we are, individually and collectively. We can do it. Some people are already doing it. We just need more people stepping up and showing up. I love you. I bless you. I appreciate you. And I thank God for you. Life is good. It's getting better. Be the change you want to see. With that, I'm releasing this conversation. Be the change you want to see.